Hi, welcome to my retirement roadmap. And this video series is about building a tips ladder. Just for the disclaimers, remember this is education only and should not be interpreted as individual advice. If you're looking to build a tips ladder and need some help with that, definitely consult with a financial professional. So that's kind of just the disclaimers. Just wanted to give a quick introduction about portfolio and how these tips fit in, and then we'll move into the more applied information. Okay, so the objectives here of the following videos on building a tips ladder primarily is to understand the basics of tips. Now, I've had a long conversation with myself and said, now listen, don't get too crazy. Don't give way more details about tips than are necessary. Just keep it to what is necessary and needed for building a tips ladder. Because tips can, there's a lot of information there, a lot of interesting information that I could share, but it definitely doesn't help in the overall picture of building a tips ladder. So that's why I want to just make sure I keep to the basics. And I will take a quick side trip here. I view tips as being the second easiest investment to understand, even though most people don't know a lot about tips and some people just never heard of them before. Okay. But I think the easiest investment to understand are certificates of deposit, CDs, at a bank. Because when you purchase a CD, you know what the interest rate is, you know when it's going to mature. It's typically FDIC insured, you're good to go. That's about as simple as it gets from an investment perspective, in my opinion. Tips come in as a second, and I won't go into all the details right now. We'll explain some more in this video series, and then probably even more when we talk about overall the major details of portfolio construction, which is slated for the next class. Okay. Also, in these videos, we just want to talk about just constructing a ladder, and then I will be demonstrating how to purchase tips, which I think is really where the learning comes in. I'd hope, and that's the most valuable. But first of all, as part of this introduction, I need to talk again about the overall portfolio as it applies in my retirement roadmap. I think the most important thing to understand is that the primary objective, is for us to get as much money into the stock market, and we're talking about a broad-based, low-cost stock market index. That's really what we're talking about. We want to put as much into that type of investment into the stock market as possible, and because that's where the growth comes in. However, that really is based on risk capacity and, of course, risk tolerance. Now, risk capacity is, can you really do this? Do you have safeguards in place to put that much money into the stock market? And that's really what we're talking about here, where we have the liquidity reserve, okay? And that's basically 1 year, 6 months to a year of cash to have on hand to meet your current spending needs. Like you just basically your run rate. That's what that's there for. Not to get into too much detail at this point. 6 months is more for people who also have secure income coming in, like Social Security or pensions or annuity, regular secure money coming in. You could probably go with 6 months might be fine. If you're on the other side of that, where you haven't started Social Security and you don't have any other secure income coming in, then you're most likely going to lean towards 12 months. Another thing is too, if you are in a household where one spouse is still working, that's obviously secure income. So you more likely could go with just 6 months. Then we have this the protection, okay, and that's actually where tips come in place, and we are going to be talking about building a 5 to 7 years tips ladder to protect against the stock market and how it might have a major downturn, that we're protected with this ladder. So anyway, that's basically the introduction to what we're trying to do here with building a tips ladder. And we'll progress into the next video. See you there.